So what's going on at North Andover High School this summer? The tennis courts have been completely dismantled and the first coat of binder has been added. They've dug up the entire baseball field, which was all grass. Most of it's going to be turned into a turf field for our baseball, softball teams in the spring. And in the fall, it's going to be somewhere we can play maybe football games and soccer games. Where we're doing most of the digging, most of the work right now was all grass. A lot of people refer to it as goose drop field. Anyone who's thrown the javelin or discus for the track team or been a part of our baseball team understand that this field was bumpy, saturated with water whenever it rained, and then the last stage would be the geese. The goose poops are, abundant down there. Navigating around the goose poops was pretty much, what each athlete had to do if they were trying to participate in something down there. All of our athletic facilities, 21 years ago, were state of the art. We were ahead of the curve, but we hadn't done anything in 21 years. So this is going to put our softball team on campus for the first time ever. It's never happened before. Second, our baseball team, just last year, for the first 5 weeks of the season, they would have practiced 6 days a week. That's 30 practices. Of those 30 practices, they were only on their field here at the high school 4 or 5 times, which is ridiculous. So this will give them a leg up on their competition, get them on their own field right from the get as soon as the snow is cleared. Our youth sports that are also in softball and baseball will also now have 2 new facilities where we can use for them. They'll get second bite. The third bite of the apple would be for any adult team or maybe a club team that wanted to rent the facility if it was available. And that has a nice ancillary benefit because it's going to bring in some revenue for the town. But then the fall, we now have one more rectangular turf field to add to our inventory. So whether it's sub-varsity soccer or field hockey or football, we'll actually have another space to play right on campus. And last but not least, our band. Now our band, who practices on our football field regularly at night, they now have a facility that's going to be lined for football in the fall where they can practice in the afternoons if they choose to. We're redoing our tennis courts completely. So our racket community, whether it's tennis or pickleball, they're going to have an additional place to play that's brand new. There were cracks and divots and weeds and all sorts of inconvenient things that were really prohibiting us from even being remotely proud of that facility. That's going to be completely brand new. And the last piece of the puzzle are the lights up on the upper turf. So grateful to our immediate neighbors who really worked with us and support the idea of putting lights up there. And that's going to allow us to finish field hockey games. JV field hockey is in the fall. They typically go after varsity. They'll have an opportunity now to finish their games versus in October, many of those games get cut short because there's no lights up top. I really believe this is going to benefit our high school community, not just our athletic community, but really the entire community. It's no secret that the public schools had some issues these last couple of years financially, and I really believe we're heading in the right direction. But I think as a result of that, we probably lost a lot of good students, a lot of good athletes to other communities. I think this improvement gives parents and students another reason to consider North Andover High School and why to stay. I think our, the content of our curriculum and everything else hasn't changed and it's still a top level, but I think this gives us, a little bit more of a feather in our cap in a sense where we're putting money behind the experience for our student athletes. For me, one of the biggest things I'd love to share with the community is just how grateful I am, being a North Andover guy and having basically worked most of my adult life here for almost the last 30 years. I love this town, and I love when people come to our town and are jealous of what we have, or the people who live here are proud of what we have. I think this investment in our students and in our community is going to give another reason for people to be proud in North Andover.